It starts with the officer looking at your bank balance. $500. He doesn't say anything. He just stamps the passport and slides it back, like he already knows how this story usually ends. The airport doors open. Cold air hits your face. You have one suitcase, a prepaid SIM card, and the address of a cousin's friend written on the back of a receipt. You check your wallet again. $500 becomes $472 after the Uber you hesitate to order, but do anyway. You tell yourself it's temporary. You'll figure it out fast. America rewards hustle. That's what you've heard. The apartment smells like cooking oil and detergent. 2-bedroom unit, 6 people already living there. You get the couch. Rent is $300 a month, cash only. Due on the 1st. You do the math. You have 30 days to survive. The rules at this level are simple. Don't complain. Don't ask for too much. Take whatever work shows up. You apply everywhere. Grocery stores, construction sites, warehouses. No one calls back until a restaurant owner needs a dishwasher who won't ask about paperwork. You don't ask. $12 an hour, 10-hour shifts, paid in cash every Saturday. Your hands crack from chemicals. Your back aches. But when you hold that first envelope, $720 after a week, you feel something dangerous. Whew. Relief. You tell yourself this is the bottom. It has to be. It isn't. The manager starts scheduling you 6 days a week. You don't say no. You learn the unspoken code. The undocumented work harder, complain less, stay later. You become useful because you're replaceable. There's a difference. You open a bank account using an ITIN number someone tells you about. You wire $200 home every month. It makes you feel like you're moving forward. But rent goes up to $400. Inflation, your roommate says. You notice how the system feeds on urgency. If you're always catching up, you never ask bigger questions. A cook quits mid-shift. You step in. You watch YouTube videos at 2 a.m. learning recipes. Within 3 months, you're on the line. $15 an hour now. You work doubles. 65 hours a week. Overtime is still cash. No benefits. You start understanding America's first real rule. Visibility is liability. You don't post online. You don't argue with customers. When a man tells you to go back where you came from, you lower your eyes. You need the hours. At night, you count your savings. $4,800 after 8 months. It feels like control. It's survival. The call comes on a Tuesday. A regular customer overhears your accent months ago. He says his brother-in-law runs a small roofing company and needs laborers. Day's better, he says. Hard work. You switch jobs. $180 a day. Under the table. No safety net. You climb houses with no harness. You send $500 home instead of $200. Your family calls you successful now. You don't correct them. You meet a guy named Arturo who talks about status adjustment, asylum claims, marriage papers. He knows a lawyer who charges $8,000 to start the process. You hesitate. $8,000 is everything you've built. But legal status changes the hierarchy. With papers, you stop whispering. Without them, you're always temporary. You pay the deposit, $3,000 up front. You tell yourself it's an investment. You stop seeing money as comfort. It becomes leverage. The lawyer files paperwork. Receipts come in the mail. You check the case status every night, pending. You realize something uncomfortable. You're trapped between systems. Not illegal enough to disappear, not legal enough to breathe. You work more. A foreman doesn't show up one morning. The crew waits. You step forward. You've been watching for months. Who orders materials? Who talks to inspectors? Who smooths over angry homeowners? You mimic confidence. The boss notices. Within a year, you're supervising 5 men. You translate. You negotiate. You collect payments in envelopes. $1,200 a week now. You open an LLC. It costs $350 to file. You don't fully understand taxes yet, but you learn quickly. You watch accountants on TikTok explaining deductions at midnight. You start subcontracting small jobs under your own name. This is the first time you feel upward motion. The rules change at this level. Reputation is currency. Speed is profit. Trust is fragile. You cut corners once to save $900 on materials. The roof leaks after a storm. The homeowner threatens to sue. You fix it for free. Lesson learned. You're not just labor anymore. You're responsible. Your paperwork is still pending, but you walk differently now. You have clients, business cards, a website. You feel legitimate, almost. Your asylum case stalls. 2 years pass, still pending. But the business grows. You hire 10 guys. Most are new arrivals like you were. You recognize the look in their eyes. Hunger mixed with fear. You pay them $160 a day. You charge homeowners $12,000 per project. Margins tighten. Insurance costs more than you expected. You learn about workers' comp the hard way when someone falls and sprains an ankle. You pay the hospital bill quietly. No reports. You justify it. If you go fully legal with every hire, your costs double. You'll lose contracts. Bigger companies undercut you already. You tell yourself you're giving opportunities. You buy a used Ford F-150 for $18,000. First major purchase. You move out of the crowded apartment into a one-bedroom for $1,850 a month. You feel successful, but something shifts. You stop being the guy trying to survive. You become the guy others depend on. Dependence feels like power. It's also pressure.
You clear $38,000 in profit one quarter. None of it feels real. You sit in a bank office discussing a line of credit. The banker calls you Mr., followed by your last name. He smiles too much. Your case finally gets approved. Work authorization arrives in a thin envelope. You hold the card for a long time. You thought this moment would feel like freedom. It feels like responsibility. You formalize everything: payroll company, insurance, contracts reviewed by an actual attorney. Your labor costs jump 30%. Half your crew leaves for cheaper contractors. You understand the deeper rule now. Ethics cost money. You decide to compete on quality instead of price. You raise your rates. You lose bids. You win better clients. Your revenue hits $900,000 a year. You hire a project manager. You stop climbing roofs. You spend more time in meetings than on ladders. At night, you stare at spreadsheets instead of ceilings. You miss the simplicity of level 1 sometimes. Back then, effort equaled money. Now, decisions equal consequences.
You're invited to a developer's dinner downtown. Private room. 12 men discussing zoning laws and city inspectors like chess pieces. You listen more than you speak. You realize construction isn't about roofs. It's about permits. Relationships. Who gets approved first? One developer offers you a subcontract on a 40-unit renovation. $480,000 contract. You accept. Margins are thin, but the exposure is huge. You start donating small amounts to local political campaigns. $1,000 here, $2,500 there. You're not buying influence, you're buying access. You learn which inspectors are strict, which neighborhoods are easier, which rules bend. You don't break laws. You learn how to navigate them. Your revenue crosses $2 million. You buy a house for $620,000 in the suburbs, 20% down. Neighbors wave. They don't know the couch you once slept on. You feel powerful, but your phone never stops buzzing. Employees need guidance. Clients demand updates. Developers expect loyalty. You built a system. Now you serve it. It's quiet in your home office at 5:12 a.m. You wake before everyone else. 3 companies now: roofing, remodeling, property management. Net worth just over $5 million on paper. You remember counting $472 outside the airport. You don't feel richer, you feel heavier. At this level, power is distance. You don't meet most workers anymore. Managers handle that. You approve budgets, sign loans, decide expansions. Your name carries weight in certain circles, but your circle is small. Old friends feel far away. Family back home sees you as proof that the system works. You know better. The system rewards obsession. It tolerates compromise. It never stops demanding. You sacrificed time, health, simplicity. You gained status, stability, control. Control is an illusion. Markets shift. Laws change. Interest rates climb. One lawsuit could ripple through everything. You built walls around your life. Sometimes they feel like protection. Sometimes they feel like isolation. You drive past the airport occasionally, arrivals terminal. You watch new faces step out with suitcases and tight budgets. Some have $500, some less. They look the way you did, hopeful, calculating, afraid. They think America is a ladder. They don't see the maze. You understand the levels now: survival, invisibility, legitimacy, operation, expansion, authority, influence, isolation. You reached the top of your version. It isn't loud, it's quiet. Somewhere inside that terminal, a newcomer checks his bank balance after paying for an Uber. He thinks $500 is enough to start. He doesn't know the rules yet. You do, and the system is waiting.